My name's Matt Combs. I also work for KDFWR like Jessica, CIS or CSI West out of the Murray office. She asked me to talk a little bit about gill nets and how the commercial fishermen down here like to fish the different techniques. Yesterday we got to hear Ronnie and how they do it in Illinois, so we thought it would be a good idea to talk about how they do it down here on the lakes. Our commercial fishermen down here, as far as their boats go, they vary 20 to 32 foot for aluminum John boats. Their steering also varies. As you can see with this one right here, this is a pulley system steering. So he steers the boat with this rod right here. They do that, so this is a fish box. This allows them to keep fish in here, along with ice and other things. They also run tiller handle steering and regular console steering. We also have two large boats, large water body vessels that have come down. They haven't started fishing yet. They have hydraulic steering on them, or hydraulic spools on those, so we'll be able to kind of see how that works and their success with that. As far as electronics go, some of them use none. Some of them use high dollar, top of line Lowrance 3D live sonar. It just varies. As far as their nets go, most of them build their own. They're all pretty well experienced with it all, and they also like to vary, try different things. They dye their nets, different mesh sizes. Right now on Barkley Lake, the #1 mesh size would be 3.5 inches. They also use anywhere from 3 1/4 to 4 inch typically. There's two main ways that they set nets out on the lakes, and that would be dead setting and active gill net setting. So the guys that go out and dead set, they will go out the evening before and set the nets. They do multiple sets with multiple nets. So they like to go to different spots. That way, if they hit a school, with one set they're going to catch a lot of fish, with another set they might not catch any fish. They like to spread the potential. As far as picking their sites, some of them, their granddaddies taught them where to fish out here, and they just fish off historic sites. Others, they'll look for ditches, ridges, flats, anywhere that they think there might be concentrated Asian carp out there. They use both sinking and floating nets. Sinking nets have to be 3 foot under the water for them to be able to leave the site. If it is a floating net, they have to be on site all night with the net in case there's recreational angler that runs into it or something happens. Most of them use the sinking nets, that way they're able to leave the nets there. They also like to hobble their nets. They usually do it a couple feet. This is so when the Asian carp jumps, they hit the top of the net. They will pull the nets in the morning. Depending on the season, the warmer season, they will be out there before daylight usually with ice for icing their fish. During cooler times, they'll get out there, an hour or so after daylight. Active setting, most of them all have expensive, high dollar fish finders. That way they can find the schools. They will go out, look for schools, go to areas where they typically catch them. They have found that the fish will concentrate in those areas again. So once they find a school of fish, they will, depending on how the fish are set up, they will look at how they need to set the net in order to keep them in that area. Typically, the fish will go to the deeper water. So if they're closer to the bank, they like to set the net on the bank starting there. That way the fish have no escape route possible. Depending on the size of the school is how much net they will put out. They all typically do it in a corkscrew fashion. So once they find the fish, they'll throw the anchor and they will run the net typically off the front of the boat. Most of them that do active gill netting use float core, not bullet floats or anything like that, because it tends to come out easier. They also, little things that help with this. They use dish detergent a lot. It helps the net come out easier. There's little things that you can pick up when we do these ride-alongs. That's why they're so valuable for us going out there and seeing how everybody does it a little differently. We can pick up things from that. So once they begin setting the net, they will use their fish finder to watch the school, because a lot of times they will try to outrun the boat, because they'll hit the net and they will follow that net to try to get around the boat. So depending on where the school's at, they will try to cut the net, so that will keep them, bunched up in there. And as they set the net, they will set it in corkscrew fashion. They found that once the Asian carp are in there, that the more webbing around them, it kind of confuses them, and they will go into the nets a lot better.
If you clarify on that, you're talking about running it in a spiral?
A spiral fashion, yeah.
And just get tightened up that way?
Tighten it up as they go. And after they're done setting the net, they will create noise with boat motor. Some of them have the plungers, and a lot of them will beat on the side of the boat as well.
How many feet is that in the commercial fishing?
So depending on the set and the school size, they can set anywhere from, there's one guy out there that just uses one single net that's 600 feet. Some of them will run 2,000 feet in a set. It just depends on the size of the school. As far as the bridles go, the lead line and the float line will be tied together. This assures that there's no escape routes or any holes for them to get out. And we find that the active sets typically are more successful. We've been out with Fisherman, and in 2,000 feet of net, we've seen anywhere from 6,000 to 12,000 pounds of fish. It's really incredible, some of their catch rates. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. That it? Oh, that's true. This is doing standard sampling out on the lake. This is Little Bear on Kentucky Lake. This is all Asian carp for the most part, and we set 1,200 feet of net. Our nets are experimental, so they're 100 feet of 3-inch, 100 feet of 4-inch, 100 feet of 5-inch. And how many did you say we caught, Josh? Maybe?
It was an overnight set, and we got maybe 30 fish total.
30 fish, and then baby looked like that.
But they were on one side of the net, and we put it out, and then 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, what it takes us to run the boat or feed it out of the boat, they were already invading that area.
Any questions?
How much room would it take to kill all those fish?
You use the corkscrew method now?
So we also go out to do experimental things, to use the electric fishing boat along with this. We try different things all the time. When we go out there, we found that the best method is the corkscrew, especially with us, because we use experimental gill nets, so it's 3, 4, 5 inch. So when you do the corkscrew fashion, it's harder for those fish to find those 5 and 4 inch mesh sizes that they can get through, because they have to go through so many layers of the net. So if they get through 2 layers of 4 inch, the chances are they're going to hit a 3 inch eventually.
Matt, typically how deep do we set these nets?
It has to be top to bottom, so ours aren't hobbled down, so we run 12 feet. So anything under 12 feet, and we've caught fish in 2 foot of water. I mean, we can get shallow.
What about trying this in deeper water?
We have seen that multiple times and tried to encircle them. And as you can see, it's 18 foot of water there, and our nets are 12 foot. Don't waste your time, because we can set on that, and you think you catch a couple out of there. 2,000 feet of net, not a single fish. They'll go under it every time.
You find that they're as invasive in the winter
can come into a bayment and see the mud that's kicked up and try to encircle them. And they'll run for the banks most of the time. That's why we have to start on the bank. And it's incredible how fast they can try to outrun that boat and how you have to cut them off, because they'll get around you every time if you're not moving fast enough. And that's why the little things like the dish detergent soap, getting that net out a little bit quicker can make the difference.
Could you explain that, the dish detergent on the deck, is that what you do?
So right here is how we typically run our nets. We run them out of a cow trough, and we have them all tied together already. Typically when they're doing dead sets, they have single nets that they'll tie together at bridle. That's because they don't know how many nets they want to set when they go out. It varies on the location. So when we run them out of here, you basically, one person standing on the front of the boat just to make sure that it's going out properly, but you just put it in reverse and go as fast as you can while you're watching the side scan. But we will, put a little bit of dish detergent and water and spray them down, and that will help.
One of the advantages to the new boat that we're trying to work with is one that came from Indiana that works on the Great Lakes. Yeah, I'm going to see them run. They can actually almost speedboat put out the nets. And I think that'll really help efficiency in terms of the circumstances.
And also the capacity of the schools as well. They can run thousands of feet of net.
Right.
But there's other pros and cons to that. They're not going to be able to get in the shallow water as, aluminum John boat will be able to.
They have pretty deep grab, and we're looking at getting jet prop type situation, so we'll see how that evolves. I would like to work with boats in the sounds as well, understanding that we're seeing the visual for sure. Seems like a simple thing to get that go ahead and put a loop around it. I'd really like to investigate that.
Speak up, if you would, for the folks on the phone.
Yeah, as you guys see more commercial fishermen, what's the relationship between those guys? Do you anticipate conflict between different commercial fishermen?
So, commercial fishermen tend to keep to themselves, and they don't want to get their secrets out. Most of them aren't secrets. Other fishermen know most of them. And that's some of the problems that we have, is when we go out with them, they don't tend to open up to us necessarily, because they don't want to tell us those little things because they're afraid, we're going to go tell somebody else. But there's not necessarily, we don't see the conflict, they're not having to call law enforcement to come out there for conflict on the water. It's behind the scenes, the guys who dead set don't like the guys who active set because they think they run the fish out, and that's why they can't catch fish in the evenings. They do talk about each other, but we haven't seen, they're not fist fighting or anything like that, but they will talk about it behind everybody.
Part of our program is set up so that they have to let us know or request certain areas of fish. And I think the regulation states that we can't have two fishermen within a half mile. So our policy is within a half mile. So that kind of helps out a little bit. This flag system that I saw yesterday was really good as far as working. Has a very small line. I really am going to push that in terms of we might make that a regulation. You're going to do dead sets overnight, or you're not
push those down here all day. There'll be some heartache there.
Yeah, I think the underlying theme is getting rid of the Asian carp. A lot of anglers will only put the more to help that.
Tim?
Some of our country doing it, having your Asian carp fishermen have a special tag on the boat where they can identify as the fish for Asian carp versus local whatever.
Yeah, they have a, I don't know if it was, so this right here, people on the ACHP program have that on their boats.
That should solve some problems, I think, between anglers and fishing. They see them fishing, they're taking Asian carps, and they justify it.
Yeah. And now we don't really see conflict with the recreational fishermen and the commercial fishermen because everybody's on the same page now that we gotta do something.
To the point where I could even help most of it, stuff that I get reports, so it's not so much.
You encounter any problems with commercial fishermen leaving their nets out too long and you have mortalities in the nets?
So when we go on the ride-alongs, we don't really see that because we have to get the times of when they're set and when they're pulled as far as soak time. And as far as the active guys, they can set a net and be pulling it within 20 minutes. I mean, it doesn't take them long. As soon as they set the net, they're trying to push the fish, and as soon as they're done with that, they're pushing it. So active sets definitely.
What about dead sets?
From our right, go ahead.
Yeah, so our Asian carp program regulation, they can only leave dead sets for 8 hours in the winter and 6 hours in the summer. So that helps reduce mortality of our fish.
Thank you.
So do you have parts of the lakes where you would like to see commercial fishing pressure and you don't see it from the fishermen? Or are you able to direct them anywhere? Have you had a need for that? Have you tried to do?
Really encourage more people to try to have,
Say it again.
we encourage commercial fishermen to fish more on the Kentucky Lake side, Kentucky Reservoir versus Park.
We also have a Facebook page called Western Kentucky Fisheries, and one of the things that we have on that page is a notification system where if anglers are in the water, they see a bunch of silver carp jumping in a certain area, they post it on there, and commercial fishermen check that page for locations where large numbers of fish
They are using that.
So they have started using that now.
One of the things Matt and I talked about a little bit yesterday was the new idea of an app, Canadian carp locator app that anglers could use, and commercial fishermen could be connected to, at least those that have smartphones. And basically, if you're fishing and you're going into a bay and you see loose Asian carp, you just push this app and maybe something comes up and asks you, what are the densities, high, medium, low, whatever. They hit this and they send, and then that would provide a notification to all the commercial fishermen who are using it with exactly where these guys are seeing instantaneously, where they're seeing these fish, and the GPS location would be there as well. And so I'm thinking about maybe working with our IT people and maybe getting something like that out.
You're considering 5 cents per pound? Have you thought, what's that? Subsidy. Is there any way, have you thought about using that at all? In a way to have a different amount on that to like hire on Kentucky Lake or something to try and influence pressure to where you want to see it?
We get really stuck on this nickel anyway. I think as long as the commercial fishermen are going out and getting on market, that's okay because those fish will get between market and Kentucky anyway, frequently. So I think any pressure on either one of those lakes is going to have slow fish. Go ahead.
And there is some pressure on Kentucky Lake. We have 58% of our harvest is on Kentucky compared to 42% market for some reason. It's the landing zone.
Probably just the lay of the land in different areas.
areas where people live, where their commute time's down.
Paris is that Tennessee or is that Kentucky?
Tennessee.
So that's, and is there
There's
a
two
process?
contractors, they're row 3 now. They're processing, we've got 14 fishers that are on the boats. And give a week out,
Sure.
8 positions, 5.
These the new commercial guys for nets, or they all using gill nets?
There's a couple that want to try seine nets, but we have regulations that, you know, for different unapproved gears that we have to go out with. So pretty much all of them use gill nets.
We are open to creating research projects that would allow us to test gears. And I try to make that very clear to everybody that I talk to, that if they've got some kind of innovative idea and are willing to work with us directly on any research project to test new gears or new methods of harvest, we certainly encourage them on that. But only under the auspices that we would believe that bycatch would not be a huge issue. I'm not gonna let people go out there and keep stains in the water and kill property. We do want to have some control over it as well.
They can use trail nets though, they just don't.
Any more questions or thoughts, not necessarily just related to what Jessica and Matt presented, but just for the whole morning session? Anything that's occurred, folks, or other questions that have come up? Thank you for that. Yep.
Kevin did want me to mention this, you know, we're talking about commercial fishing. He has an open invite to anybody who wants to come up and observe our program at any time. We want me to extend that to the group. Just contact him, myself, or we'll connect you with our person on the ground up there. If anybody's interested in coming up for a day or for the week, just let us know and we'll get you on the water to observe. So,
Activities are pretty regular there.
yeah. So, we've added additional weeks this year, so we're going to be on the water just about every week, you know, doing something. So, he wanted me to throw that.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you